what the hell is going on in Iran and what President Trump's plan is. Are we already in World War III? Because, like, if you look population-wise, a majority of the world's population currently is at war, or recently at war, or on the precipice of war. And if you allow the closing of the Straits of Hormuz, which are closed now, then the closing of the Abu Dhabi Straits over by Yemen, which could be done with a couple mines, couple drones, couple missiles, and maybe one ballistic missile strike on the Suez Canal, and that might be what it takes to tip us over into it. And the question then becomes, well, what exactly is the plan of the host of The Apprentice and the Fox and Friends Weekend co-host to stop the conflagration of World War III? Going to go back to the phone lines. We have Richard in College Park. Richard, how you doing?
All right, good morning, Patillo. How are you?
I'm well. Go ahead.
Before I get to my point, you asked, I called a wife a question about should he have talked to things through. She jumped and started talking about election integrity. What they got to do with the question you asked? Should have held her feet to the fire.
Hey, we had to get to a commercial. But look, that's the problem. If you're just like with anything else, and that's why I always say, and I tell all my mentors and my mentees and everything else, never assume you're the craziest person in a fight. Because at the end of the day, you may be like, nah, man, you ain't ready for all this. I got you. And you, for all you know, the dude you about to fight, all he does is fight people for fun all the time. And he's been waiting for just this opportunity. And I think they're now realizing, I think these people fight for fun. And now they're stuck. But go ahead.
You know what, though? You mentioned something earlier that people don't think people even thought. He tried to get Biden to go along with him to attack Iran. But Biden was smart enough not to fall for it. That's why he wanted Trump back in office so bad. He know that fool would do anything he wanted to. That's why Putin was. They know they can stroke his ego. This fool do anything they tell him.
Mm-hmm.
What's sad about it? I mean, being a veteran, a disabled veteran, it's disgusting to see how this you sacrificing lives. Him and Hezbollah, like this was a game. And the fact that Pete Hezbollah had been in the military before is I can't believe this guy ever been a leader of men as stupid as he is. I mean, this is ridiculous. They sacrificing lives. And I mean, really, it's heartbreaking because there's going to be some more dead. 4 more died yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get the ship, trying to land to get some oil. You know what he said? He said the tanker should have to show some guts. This draft dodger telling somebody to show some guts. Nobody even commented on it. He tells them tanker they should show some guts and try to get through with the oil.
That's a great point. Let's dive in on that point. You said something brilliant right there that I think went over most people's heads. When Trump says the oil tanking companies should show some guts and go through the Straits of Hormuz. So just to explain to people, at its narrowest point between Oman and Iran, the Straits of Hormuz are 20 miles wide. So about 20 to 21 miles wide. And right in the middle of that, about 15 miles off the Iranian coast, is Kurang Island, where 90% of the Iranian oil refining takes place. Now, because 90% of the oil refining takes place there, it is a military fortress filled with missiles and guns and bombs and mines and everything else. So when Trump says, we'll have the U.S. Navy go escort the tankers through, think about this for just about a second and figure out why this is a stupid-ass idea. Because you're going to take a $1 billion, $1.3 billion, let's say, Arleigh Burke destroyer, and you're going to take 2 of those and maybe a submarine and a couple frigates. We don't really have frigates in the U.S. Navy right now because the Constellation class program collapsed. And now we're talking about taking Coast Guard boats and turning those into frigates. So now we're going to use the Arleigh Burkes to do this escorting tankers through. So at this point in time, if you launch a ballistic missile or if you launch a cruise missile or a drone swarm from Kurang Island, even if these tankers are going down through the center of the strait, you're going to have less than probably 5 miles between where the missiles are fired from and where the U.S. destroyers are at. So the type of interceptor you can use at that close of a range are these guns they have on the decks of Navy ships called the C-RAM. You'll see like just a spray of bullets into the air. It is a weapon of last defense. If you're shooting a missile from 1,000 miles away, I got 2-3 minutes to figure out where the missile is. And I can use the Aegis system. I can use aerial interceptors. I can use laser weapons. I can even send out aircraft to shoot it down. But if you are telling me that I am in a 20-mile wide strait with an island sitting in the middle covered in missiles, then that means there's a 100% chance that a U.S. Navy vessel will be struck, and a very good chance it will be sunk, and hundreds, if not thousands, of sailors dying to protect oil tankers because Trump didn't think this through. How do we know this is going to happen? We can simply look at Ukraine war. Because the Russian Black Sea Fleet versus a country with no navy at all has lost their flagship battle cruiser to Moscow through a Neptune missile. They've lost 2 attack submarines because of autonomous drones and drone speedboats, even though they have much of the same technology that we have. We've seen the entire Black Sea be shut off to the Russian Navy from a country that has absolutely no navy at all, in a space far larger than what will be going on in the Straits of Hormuz. So if you are saying that we're going to have U.S. Military assets escorting tankers and they need to have some guts to do so, you are telling hundreds, if not thousands, of sailors that they will be at the bottom of the Red Sea dead in order to protect oil assets, because I didn't think a war through and I want to lower oil prices in time for the midterm elections. It is one of the most idiotic things any American president has ever said outside of their mouth. He's making George Bush look like a genius, but he says so much stupid stuff that people just let it fly over their head. So I won't go back to you, give the last word on this, but yes, you are correct. This idea of telling tankers to just have some guts is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard a U.S. leader say.
But the real reason he's doing it because the distraction from the I call it the Epstein and Trump file. This guy don't want for you to know. I hate to say he's a pedophile and trying to hide it.
Look, I don't know if we should call this the Netanyahu Iran war or the Epstein Iran war, but this is clearly not in the interest of America. This isn't an American war. This is the same day, you're right, the same day that it came out that the Department of Justice had left out over 50 pages from the Epstein files detailing allegations against Donald Trump of raping a 13-year-old girl. The very same week that came out, we started bombing Iran. And I'm sure it's just a coincidence. I'm sure it's just a coincidence in timing that happened. That we went into a preemptive war with no planning, with no allied support. We didn't go to NATO. We didn't go to France and Germany. We're cussing out Great Britain because they won't let us use their bases. All this stuff. I'm sure that happened just coincidentally on the same week that we find out that these allegations were being hidden by the Department of Justice against Donald Trump. Thanks so much for your call, Richard. I really appreciate it. We'll be back after the break. What do you think? Are we already in World War III, or are we headed towards World War III? We'll be back after the break. News and Talk 1380 WAOK.